Hello and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Night Undress. This is Lewis, your host. I'm joined by a motley crew tonight. I got Jullian, Meredith, Donna, Fernando,
Hello,
Parker,
What up?
Andre,
What's up?
and Cassidy.
Hi.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Great. What about you?
I am stellar. How about you?
Everything is copacetic.
Copacetic. That's a good word. Cassidy is on a quest to use bigger words right now so that she feels intelligent. So I'm interested to see what tonight's going to sound like on the podcast. All right. First question.
at least one of us is.
Are we being visited by extraterrestrials? We recently had a House Oversight Subcommittee that held a hearing on UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and we had at least 3 former military folks testify that the government has proof that aliens exist. What do you think, Fernando?
Okay, it's very interesting. I think definitely there is something very truthful, a lot of truth behind that, because why the Congress would call this thing to happen? So they already have all they know what the guy, well, it's all the main person there. So there is witness and there is one whistleblower, right? The whistleblower I always think about to memorize the name of guys, like not Dave Gross, like Dave Grosh, I think is the main whistleblower, and it's very like I hear his name for many years in some of like, and I'm not like a pursuing of like UFO, but there is a lot of weird stuff, and for sure, like the amount of data, there is facts there that there is like a U.S. ship that the radar detect, witness on board, report with private pictures, and I mean there is more than 2 or 3 instruments. It's not like an optical illusion, so definitely there is facts of UFO or UAP, how they call nowadays.
All right.
So they have a meaning, like it's not like this didn't came out of the nowhere,
Right.
So I think there is and also I think he passed some legislation about any private company. I think it's already passed. If I'm not wrong, please correct me if you hear some update on that. If I'm not wrong, anybody that got any object, if you have a private business or a private person, you need to give to the government.
I don't know that there's a law that says it, but
I think there is if not, is about to kick it, but I believe I heard that. But anyhow, that's what I have on it.
Cool. So, okay, Fernando's obviously wrong, so who wants to disagree? Nobody. That's shocking to me.
Who cares?
You don't care
Chuck
at all?
Truly,
Chuck
who
Schumer.
cares? No, I really don't think Chuck Schumer cares.
He called for that.
No, the fact that Congress is doing hearings is more representative to me of the fact that we have a Congress who can't get anything accomplished other than doing something really stupid, like holding hearings on UFOs. Who cares? I mean, if someone has the intelligence and the capability to come here, what would they see? Man, this is one screwed up place.
I agree with that.
No need to check this out any longer.
But that's looking at what they would see. What about what we would see? If there was advanced life form that was advanced enough to visit us, you wouldn't be curious about... well, first of all, would you be curious about A, their technology, whether or not we could take advantage of it, things like that, and B, if they had been routinely visiting us and the government was lying about it, wouldn't that be significant?
This is too Yeti-like for me. It just is, Show me the spacecraft.
Right.
Show me the spacecraft. Then maybe you'll get me on board.
Gotcha.
I mean, I wouldn't have any objection to somebody visiting us over and over again. It would be interesting to find out what their reasoning is, because if they've been doing it for as many years as they claim, then we should have been taken over a long time ago. Right. We would have been seen as an easy mark. And yet none of that happened. So show me the money, as they used to say.
Gotcha. Okay, so two opposing yet wrong opinions. So now I got to talk to a young person. No, not Jullian. Andre, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with just the Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if any of you guys are.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
I'm certain that all of this is real because of just what I've seen in the documentary. It's just, I've seen the facts.
So you think aliens exist?
Oh, for sure.
And the government's known about them.
They're here in the Uminta Basin.
Follow.
Skinwalker Ranch.
All right, he's wrong too. Parker, what do you think?
I've never been visited by any extraterrestrial life, but I think it does exist, but I don't think it has visited us yet. I just think the possibility, because there's a multitude of universes, so I think the possibility is very high that there is life out there, but I'm not exactly sure if we've gotten visited yet.
Kanye is a reptilian, right?
So do you think, like Donna? I think Donna made some like super salient points. Like, if they do exist, do you think it would make a difference in your life to find out that they do?
No, not really. I mean,
I feel like it would only make a difference in my life if they were like my friend.
You need a friend.
Well, like if I
Okay.
saw them like every day.
Uh-huh,
You know,
so-
like if they didn't just come every now and then and like blow stuff up.
Right, or stick probes up cows' butts.
yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. All right, Julie, I'll let you talk now.
I know what you're gonna say about this, right? But I'm still gonna disagree with you, because we had this conversation like yesterday. We talked about this very in depth, but I think that if aliens have been here, like, I don't really care. I mean, I think it'd be cool to like meet a new person. You know, we could be friends. I could learn stuff about more stuff from here, but like, why does it matter? Like, if we're not, they haven't tried to kill us if they're here, so I would say they're friends. And like, I wouldn't, if they know we're here and they visited us, I don't think they would try and kill us, because who's to say that like we're not the only, or we're the only ones that only like species ever who's like resorted to violence. You know, what if all aliens just kind of talked it out instead? Like they're trading oil or something, and then one of them blows the other one's ship up on accident, and instead of making a war, they're just like, I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. You know, maybe aliens are nice.
Wow, that was maybe the wrongest opinion of them all. So, well, yeah, no, you're fine. You're good. Meredith.
I want to know what your opinion is first, and then I'll tell you mine. You don't
Okay.
need to sit up here creating your own damn suspense. You're just a narrator. You're not the director.
I don't know that I think ultimately I agree with Donna. Like, I don't know that it matters. I think the only thing that would matter is that our government has successfully lied to us for that long. Like, quite honestly, I think I'd probably be more impressed than pissed, because I don't really have a whole lot of faith in our government. So the idea that they could keep a secret that long, that well, that so many people have fought against would probably be significant to me, but not like in a, it changes the way that I'm gonna, drive down the street tomorrow kind of way. So as far as whether or not aliens exist, I would find it highly unlikely that we're the only sentient species in the galaxy. But I haven't seen any proof.
Okay.
All right, what's your
I don't know
thoughts?
why this is news. Like, I just don't know why this is news.
It's a
First
cool
of all,
it was
like,
a cool
aliens
year.
have... No. I understand that there was a little conference and some people got together in a room, yada, 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 yada. Aliens have been coming here for thousands of years. Seriously, thousands of years. Like, we are not the most advanced species in the universe or the galaxy or anything. It's insanely... It's insanely cocky to think that we are. I think the only reason that we're having a press conference right now is because the government has successfully kept a bunch of secrets, actually. Successfully kept a bunch of secrets. And I think that the only reason we're hearing about it now is because there is some level of concern on their end. And there comes a point where you have to tell the mice that there's a snake in the cage. Period.
I do agree that it'd be unlikely that we are the only species in the universe made writ whole.
Right.
I would find that very unlikely. As for our government successfully keeping a secret, come on!
There's many things that we don't know, though. I mean, like,
There may be, but there is always someone
You don't
somewhere
know-
along the line that leaves
you don't
things
know
out.
what you don't know until you know it. That's all I'm saying.
It's the unknown.
Like, I'm
It's the
sorry.
unknown
Like,
known.
we just don't know. Like, nobody really knows what's inside of Area 51. Everybody thinks there's freaking aliens there, but nobody knows. Like, if you all knew, this wouldn't be a debate.
But that's just it.
So
Someone
that's a
does
secret.
know. Someone
Okay, but that
does know.
person
There are probably a
hasn't
lot of
said
someones that do
anything,
know.
And we
And
don't.
I'll bet you
Okay,
anything
I'm
they
sorry.
have
You can
said.
just go ahead and talk, and I'll shut up.
Yeah,
I'm good
no,
on this.
go ahead.
It's like, nah, bro. No.
Evo,
What?
you just walked in on.
What's going on?
We want to know if aliens exist.
Ooh. Did you talk about the Fermi paradox?
No, we did not.
Oh, so Enrico Fermi, the great nuclear physicist, he sketched on a napkin when he was at Los Alamos the Fermi paradox, which basically postulates that based on how many years the universe has existed, it's close to 14 billion years, and the amount of potential solar systems and stars and planets. By now, if alien life existed, they would have contacted us. It's just astronomically large number of possibilities for civilizations to intersect. So Fermi paradox states that we haven't encountered alien life, and that's a paradox based on the amount of time the universe has existed. So when you ask, do aliens exist? If they do, they don't want us to find out, because by now they've definitely, if they've advanced so far that they can travel through space and time, and that's just an impossibility. Bob Lazar, did you talk about Bob Lazar?
Oh, Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar.
Yeah, Fernando brought him up, but we didn't really get to talk about it.
Okay, so he worked at Area 51, and he claims that, he got fired or he left. It's not clear exactly what happened, but he claims in wildly circulated reports that we have reverse engineered alien spacecraft at Area 51. The U.S. government has, and has done that for decades to come up with the technology that was used by this alien ship that supposedly was brought down. And so, who knows? All I know is who is afraid of aliens? Republicans. They should have. Why are they trying to build a wall? All right. Enough silliness.
All right. Cassidy. I actually have a little circle there. So it tells me make sure you check on Cassidy because you didn't ask her opinion yet.
Finally. Okay, so I don't care at all, in my personal opinion. They really took a look at the universe and were like, no, we're the only people here. Like, that just doesn't make sense, at all. I find it much more interesting that Lizzo body shamed somebody for being overweight. But anyway, that's my opinion. I don't care that much. There's more important things.
You don't care, and Lizzo body shaming someone is more important.
Yeah, she was it's way more surprising because she's all like, oh, love yourself. But then she body shames her dancers for being overweight.
Well,
That
she's
doesn't
kind of
make
paying
sense.
them, so there is a difference.
What'd you say?
She is paying them.
Well,
I like money too.
But that's not enough to be, it's not an excuse for her to abuse them. There's been, there was a weirdly news today about Lizzo. And Yeah, no, it was in the news today that she's been
sued, I
mean.
think, for sexual harassment.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
impossible to work with because of narcissism. She's completely self-absorbed, very arrogant, and
Doesn't
hateful.
mean any of it's true. It's
Who
just
knows?
that
Who
was what
knows?
hit the paper.
Like, you
But
see-
that's the rumors anyway. With aliens, what about the stuff that happened in the last couple of years with the San Diego craft, the over the ocean? Come on,
So
it's been
that's
everywhere.
and so that's where the conversation started with
The
the
tic tac that was
Yeah,
flying.
and
Yeah,
they're
uh-huh.
like the witness of it. They were part of the hearing,
The two pilots are very
Yeah.
reputable,
Yeah.
lifelong.
and the instruments also saw some of those.
Yeah, and we've seen the footage. You've seen the little dark TikTok flying in
I
different
have.
directions
yeah.
at crazy speeds. Now, if there is any kind of organic creature in that craft, they should be liquid. Because there's no way for any internal organs to survive this change of direction, that
Right.
rapid acceleration. Yeah.
I got a couple things. Like, we know that stuff here can't handle that, change in direction. But what about places that move faster than Earth? Like, they spin faster, so things are made to, move fast without breaking. And also, my thing with the paradox you're talking about is like, what if we are the closest civilization to being type 1, which is on a type 1, there's a chart. It's type 1, type 2, and type 3.
Yes.
And type 1 is civilization that has just unlocked the ability to harness all the energy and resources on their planet. So like when we are able to take all the resources from Earth, all the energy, all from literally everything, that's when we reach type 1. And then type 2 is when you expand that to more places and galaxies and such. And type 3 is when you have control over like whole entire galaxies and such. So what if we are the first or closest civilization to reaching type 1? Because everybody's talking about there's aliens out there who want to, or who can travel across the universe. What if nobody's there yet? Because for all we know, we could be the oldest civilization to be created. And if we're not there yet, then there's nothing saying that somebody else is.
Well, and type 1, we are still not type 1
Yeah, we're
civilization. We are
0.71.
very primitive yet. But I was thinking recently I was thinking about where we're going, evolutionarily, where we are going. I feel like we're slowly moving towards some kind of convergence between man and machine. We are already talking about Neuralink and about implants and being able to access the internet with our brains and so on and so on. But what about in 1,000 years from now, if we survive ourselves? In 1,000 years, I think we're moving forward a next step in evolution towards just being data, just becoming a beam of information. If organic creatures, if we or any other civilization progresses the same way and just becomes beam of data, information, then travel through space we can travel with the speed of light and go anywhere. So maybe aliens are here, but they're not in the form that we understand, and they're not necessarily have contours. They're maybe just information. You know what I mean?
So I was not really picking up on what Jullian was talking about when he said we had a long conversation about this the other day. But when you say, Evo, what you just said, it reminded me, we talked about this for a long, long time. Like the difference in perception of a three-dimensional creature versus someone that thinks in 4 dimensions. We as three-dimensional thinkers may not be able to see something that exists in the 4th dimension, but they could see us, and like what that would look like for something to try to communicate with us that's literally outside the realm of our possibility to even understand it. So yeah.
The closer we get to that state when we're just information, I think the closer we are to our understanding of God. Just omnipresent and eternal.
That should lead us into sci-fi movies, because that
Not-
sounds a lot like Arrival,
So
where they existed out of time and space.
So it wasn't meant to, but this is a perfect time to go ahead and move on into the second question. What's your favorite space movie? All right, Julie, you got that head up. I'm going to ask you.
I'm not really sure if this counts as a space movie, but I really like Independence Day. Like-
it's a Earth movie.
But like
It's
Is it, though?
It's about
We can talk about this.
It's about stuff from outer space. So I think it's a
Games.
space movie.
So no, this is why I asked the question. I wanted to have this discussion. Like, what is a space movie? Does it can it happen here on Earth?
Yeah.
So Meredith, I think you've got an opinion. So please share.
Hopefully I can get it out this time. My opinion is you're really going to love this. Stargate. I love the movie Stargate. But if we're going sci-fi horror, it's definitely Event Horizon.
Gotcha.
And my dear friend Jason and I had a long debate about this, and he tried to say the same thing that you did, which was that it was a planet, a point to point. There was no interstellar travel. That is, in fact, not true, because if you recall the end of Stargate, the top of the pyramid is a spaceship that shoots up into space with the alien that they've been worshiping for however many years, and then they send the nuclear bomb up into the spaceship, and it explodes in space.
Wait,
They're
was
traveling through time and space using the Stargate.
No, it was in the movie. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
But there's a
yeah.
spaceship, and there's an alien,
So
and there's
then-
space,
So then,
and there's space travel.
in your head, then a space movie is anything where there is space travel.
I mean, space movie's not really a real category, so
Right.
there you go.
I literally
mean,
made
I
this
feel
up
like
for
it's
the
very
question.
subjective.
So yeah, that's why I'm asking. But everybody, I think, has an idea of if I say space movie, everybody's going to come up with if not just one, a list of movies. And so
I mean,
for
there's
you,
definitely space and independence.
right.
There's definitely spaceships. There's definitely aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely spend a solid portion of the movie in outer space. The whole end of the movie happens with Will Smith and them in outer space. So I agree with you, Jullian. High five.
Yeah, but you guys are both wrong.
No, we're definitely right.
Fernando, what do you think?
I know what his answer is going to be. He named his
All right,
son
please,
after
Ivo.
Tarkovsky.
All right, read my mind.
Can I read it?
That's top 3. Solaris.
Yes.
Moon,
Moon is good.
direct by
By Duncan.
Duncan Jones.
Yes, Duncan Jones, the son of David Bowie.
I think that movie beat 2001 Space Odyssey. I prefer that movie than I compare them
You
very
like it
close.
better.
I prefer Moon.
But Moon takes place on the moon, and it's
Yeah.
not in space.
It is. The
Well,
moon is
everything's in space.
right? Like-
The Earth is in space.
every movie could be a space
Okay,
movie.
the criteria. If you get out of the stratus, what will be the cut?
Dude, I'm
Otherwise-
asking you. That's the whole point of my question. Like, what do you
But-
consider Moon
but I
a
mean-
space movie?
I think those are kind of top, but I mean old like kind of invasion of the body snatchers, but that's in or on Earth,
That's about
so that
aliens.
doesn't count, right?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the question is
Yeah, it's a space. It gotta be in space. So,
outer space even. So
outer space.
yeah, so space. So obviously Solaris kind of counts
Kind of
because
fit, but he's in a ship.
yeah. So if you guys don't know what Solaris is, Andrei Tarkovsky made a movie version of the incredible book by Stanisław Lem, a Polish science fiction writer. He's legendary in East Europe, but not many people know him here. But Solaris is groundbreaking because it uses the reality effect that Andrei Tarkovsky used. It's a very slow movie, slow burner, and it's really like all great movies about outer space are not about outer space. They're about inner space.
Yeah.
They're about us. And this great movie is about the innermost space, the subconsciousness. And so the main character, gosh, I forgot his name, but he traveled to this planet,
George
Solaris.
Clooney.
No. That's the remake.
I know,
That's
I hate the remakes. I
I don't.
never watch
Soderbergh.
it, and I never
Soderbergh made the
will.
remake and wasn't great.
I'm anti-remake.
But he is in orbit of Solaris, and weird things happen to the people that are in orbit in this spaceship in Solaris. They start to lose their mind, and so what Solaris really is, at the end, what I understand, the way I interpret it, is it's a manifestation of your subconsciousness and your innermost fears and desires. And so he starts to experience conversations with his dead wife, and it's all about humanity and dread, grief, and human existence, the human condition. It's a brilliant masterpiece, but it takes a lot of patience to watch this movie. You have to just believe in it. But yeah, I agree. That's just a fantastic movie.
So is Solaris where you got Andrei's name from?
Andrei, he was your favorite
No, from the
director?
director, yeah.
Right, but
Andrei Tarkovsky.
yeah, but was it Solaris in particular?
No, he had other freaking masterpieces.
Perhaps Sacrifice. I mean, everything was great that he did. So.
Okay, so, but you said three. You mentioned Solaris and Moon, and what was the third one?
Moon.
Uh-huh. And then number 3?
But that doesn't count because it's actually.
You can
on
have it.
Earth.
Yeah, we'll give you more.
Invasion of Body Snatchers.
Invasion. Okay, gotcha. All right. So you have a little bit looser notion of a space movie. And I can appreciate that because I think mine bounces all over the place. Donna, what about you?
I was going to say that's the difficulty in defining a space movie is that there are really other genres that incorporate space.
Right.
They're horror movies, aliens. They are westerns, Firefly. They're heist movies, Firefly. They're war movies, Independence Day,
Right.
War of the Worlds, the original, always the original. So there are, Alien, the original Alien is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, but
That's a space
recognize
movie.
it more, but I recognize it more as a horror movie than a space movie. It was a horror movie that took place in space.
Gotcha. So if I say to you, and I'm curious for you in particular, space movie, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Alien was
Gotcha.
the first thing that
Okay.
came to my mind.
In space,
And War of
no
the
one can
Worlds.
hear you
And I
scream.
actually love Stargate too. That's one of my, and I love the series.
Right.
I've watched that over and over and over again.
It's the first time I remember seeing James Spader. Andre.
Oh, I mean, when you say space movie, what comes to mind usually for most people is like, well, the moon landing is a classic.
A
just
good
like
space movie.
Just the moon. Despicable Me when he went to the moon. That also comes to mind.
Despicable Me.
That's
And
what I was gonna say.
Spaceballs is a good one, but I would say my
The moon
favorite.
landing.
It's probably either Aliens in the Attic, or Space Jam 2: A New Legacy.
Bro, wrong Space Jam. No.
LeBron is the goat.
Uh-uh.
The new
They
legacy.
didn't even go to space.
Oh my God! One of the worst movies ever made. Space Jam: The New Legacy. He remembered even the subtitle of the movie, which is shocking, absolutely shocking. Are you gonna talk?
Parker, have you had a chance to ponder this very weighty question?
Andre said a lot of the answers that I was thinking about, but another one that came to mind for me was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nice. So I gotta say, I wrote this damn question myself, and I'm sharing it with the folks at work, and they mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy. It was not even a consideration when I was writing the question. It's the top movie of the year right now, and I hadn't even considered it. So
Jason said Thor.
No.
And I was like,
That's a
I
slippery
could
slope,
see
the
what
Marvel thing.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
what I
cheers.
said. This
Oh,
was
come
my
on.
argumentation because he was like, well, if you're going to count this, and I was like, well, I mean, technically they're going, but I don't.
yeah,
It gets very dicey there very
Yes.
quickly, doesn't
It
it?
does. It does.
Because a lot of Marvel happens in space.
And then the problem with Thor is I guess maybe that's space.
Ragnarok. I mean, he's supposed to
Yeah.
be floating on some. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
this definition's way too loose.
All right, Evo. You talked about Fernando's choice. What
Yeah,
do you think
yeah.
of when you think of a space movie?
So, I mean, thinking from writer's perspective, from a storyline perspective, you need an antagonist and protagonist in most movies, and there are movies where the space itself is the antagonist, like Event Horizon. Actually, the Event Horizon was the antagonist, but the movie Space. In the movie Space is the antagonist. It's the agent of chaos, that primal fear of this vast abyss, this vacuum that is just means instant death, and the helplessness of being alone in that vast space. There's a primal fear, probably from the moment we crawled out of the primordial soup, we were probably afraid of being alone in a vast space abyss without anyone. And the movie Space kind of encompasses this fear. It was really, really well done, and the soundlessness, one of the only movies that actually uh, Tyson, the astrophysicist, approved of, because he's very critical of every movie. He approved of the fact that all the explosions and all the collisions were soundless in that movie, the way it is in space.
Yeah.
The one thing that he pointed out was Sandra Bullock's hair was, as she was floating in the International Space Station, her hair was perfectly, it never floated up, you know, so he's like, please, come in, fix that. Now, Space Odyssey, again, from a writer's perspective, Arthur C. Clarke's incredible series were very, 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 very well done by Stanley Kubrick. The whole 9000, the entire human versus artificial intelligence, so prophetic, by the way. This is the first Alexa, is HAL 9000, and first Alexa that went sentient, and now we have like signs of sentience with artificial intelligence, right? With the Google machine and all that. It was a brilliantly executed movie. Consider when it was done. My goodness. That was like, what, 1979? Before, maybe. I'm not sure, but...
I feel like it was, 78 or 79.
Yeah, it was just a masterpiece. It was so incredibly done. And again, it's about so much more than action. And then I kind of liked Interstellar. I did like Alien a lot, and Aliens was also very good. And again, notice that the villain in these movies, they're brilliant, these supposedly horror movies, but there's so much more. The villain is not the alien, it's the corporation.
Yep.
In both movies. The alien is a monster. You know, we don't know what the alien is. It's nature, and the corporation is trying to puppeteer the alien. You know, to use it, to weaponize it, and really, the person that wins is this lone human that rebels against the forces that are trying to puppeteer that human.
And the cat.
And the cat, of course. The cats always win.
Cats
I mean,
always
that's no secret.
Talk about the Marvel series, Captain Marvel.
But
Captain America.
another movie that is very underappreciated and should be mentioned in the same vein as Solaris is a movie made by one of my favorite directors. His name is Danny Boyle, and he made a movie called Sunshine. And in it, just like Solaris, in Solaris, the planet itself has sentience, and it makes so much sense that planets would have sentience. They're so much more ancient than we are. There's so much more. They've been there for much more. Do we know what sentience is? What is the nervous system? We understand the central nervous system. Does the Earth have sentience? I don't know. Maybe it does. It's just a different level. Maybe it's a much higher level sentience. But in this movie, Sunshine, the sun, our star that everything orbits around, has dark sentience that influences people and makes them go crazy the closer you get to it. And it's a deeply psychological, beautifully made movie. This director is underappreciated. Danny Boyle, everything he does is brilliant.
Okay.
On some level, of course the Earth has sentience, or we wouldn't be using phrases like, you know, when you screw with Mother Nature screws back. On some instinctual level, we're saying the planet is fighting us, actively fighting us for what we are doing to it.
Yeah, I mean, all these viruses that are popping up, the deeper we go in the jungle, the deadlier viruses show up and try to wipe us out.
Oh, I was literally like avoiding interrupting you to say, you know, the Earth has got a nervous system. We watched that mushroom documentary
Exactly.
on Netflix. There's this
mycelium.
the mycelial
Fantastic
network.
Fungi.
Yes,
Is the name of the documentary. Watch it, please.
Yeah,
it's spectacular. It's shot beautifully too.
And it like will make you amazed and terrified of mushrooms all at the same time. So
mushrooms are just the fruit of the mycelium, and really, what the mushroom is, what the mycelium is a nervous system, in the under the soil in the forest that communicates and communicates with trees, with other plants, with chemical signals, warning sign. It's absolutely incredible. Incredible.
And you didn't bring The Last of Us into this conversation?
Well, we just hadn't made it there yet.
But are we including also? Are we including TV shows? Just movies?
Yeah, I was
Let's
just
stick
talking
with
about movies. Yeah. Okay. I want to jump in before I talk to you, Cass, because I didn't mention when I did my introductions that we have the master of the knobs, Neil, over here, and I really would like to get your opinion of what. No. Okay. All right.
I know you like Star Wars. Come on.
All right. We'll ask you
Did you
later.
watch Barbie the movie?
All right, Cass. What do you think?
So I like Wall-E, which
Wall-E.
took place in
Wall-E.
space. I decided when I was 10 that was my favorite movie because I couldn't think of anything else, and I stand by that to this day.
I love Wall-E because it's a very, very deep movie. Like the more times you watch it, the messages in Wall-E get deeper and deeper. So, good choice.
Yeah, and like Interstellar, I saw a couple edits of that on TikTok, so I deem it as a good movie now.
I'm sorry, you saw edits of it on TikTok. Didn't watch the movie.
Yeah.
Just a few edits.
No, but I saw this one thing that was like, it said like, oh, every hour we spend on this planet is like 7 years back on Earth. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a pretty cool movie. So it's probably a good movie.
5 stars. Right
I
there.
don't know. I haven't seen it.
Amazing that you brought it up. We were at a trivia game last week, and Wall-E was one of the very important questions in the trivia game. And the question was, what is Wall-E's primary function? And we had it. We got the answer correctly. It was waste management. It was waste disposal.
So Wall-E was in the mob, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, Julie, you had some more thoughts.
Right. I'm just gonna say I think any movie that incorporates anything about space is a space movie. Cause like, if we're talking about like aliens and stuff, where do they come from? Space. So that makes it a movie about space. Cause it has space like details. So that's why I said Independence Day. But I also really like. There's this movie. I forgot the name. It's of.
So is E.T. a space movie?
Yes.
That one Will Smith movie?
Yeah.
The Independence Day. By the way, the first time Will Smith punched somebody was this, where he learned the move. Chris Rock should have seen it coming in the 90s.
Isn't Men in Black like Men in Black?
Men in
space
Black Man
movie?
is a porn movie.
All right. Oh, I didn't get to say what my favorite bestest space. Julian wasn't done, so I'll let you be.
Office
All
in
right.
space.
But there is this movie, and it was about these aliens coming to space, and then instead of everybody trying to kill the aliens, they try and communicate with them. And so the aliens, right? They open up this little latch thing that basically you stand on it and it brings you into their ship, right? And so there's this one girl, and she spends like a long time, like she spends like a week straight. All she does is try and learn their language.
Arrival.
And then, I think with the weird octopus looking ones.
Yes,
Yes,
that's a
Arrival.
great
I really like that one.
Oh, good
I
one.
think it's so interesting.
Great movie. Yeah.
I thought he was talking about Night at the Roxbury for a second. All right. So for me, when I think of space movie, quite honestly, like the motivation for this question was like, what's a good space movie to go along with the space question, the alien question? And my first thought was Dune. And then I thought people would say that's not a space movie. And then my second thought was Star Wars. And I was like, that's almost definitionally a space movie, but I don't, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, I don't know, because then things like Arrival and Interstellar came up. And so I really wanted to throw it out. But for me, those were literally the first two that I thought of, Dune and Star Wars. So,
Star Trek. Let's not forget that universe.
So yes, but it was a TV show first, so I didn't like the fact that it was a movie didn't actually register. But yeah,
I did not like the Firefly movie. What was the Firefly movie? Great show, but the movie was not fantastic.
it wrapped up the TV. I mean, it was good.
I enjoyed
in
the
fact,
movie very much because its purpose was to wrap up the show, and it did.
Yeah, it's definitely not a movie that would stand well on its own, but
Serenity was the name of the movie.
Serenity was the movie. All right, last question. We're going to talk a little bit about HeLa cells. And I will say that Evo is the one that introduced me to the book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks.
That came out a long time ago.
It did. It came out a while back. So, for folks that don't know, there's this kind of recurring MacGuffin in movies that are HeLa cells that are either growing out of control or like the hero has to go get the HeLa cells in movies and video games. And these cells are actually a real thing. They're actually cancer cells from a woman named Henrietta Lacks. She was a black woman who, while being treated for cervical cancer, had her tumor cells basically taken.
Harvest.
Yeah. And they were distributed without her knowledge or permission. And the interesting thing is, like, although she died from... Yeah, they just
They're
simply
considered
don't.
immortal.
Yeah.
They're amazing cells.
Yeah, and so if you read this book that Evo shared with me, or watch the movie starring Oprah Winfrey, these cells are just defy even rationale.
Nature.
Yeah. So in the book, they even talk about how the cells would contaminate other cells. Like they thought they were developing new cell lines for research, and they all turned out to be HeLa cells that had infiltrated the other cell lines. So it's a fantastic book. It's a fantastic story. The short version is Henrietta Lacks' family has been suing for recognition, for recompense for the fact that, like, this happened to her mom without any... she didn't receive anything for it. Most of the time, people don't even know what HeLa cells are. So, just yesterday, a company, Thermo Fisher Scientific, actually reached a settlement with the family. And so we don't know what the details are, but they are the first company that has essentially gave the family recognition and some recompense for the fact that their company is profiting off Henrietta Lacks' cells.
Yeah.
And so the question is, do you think this is a good... well, I mean, it's obviously a good-hearted thing, but is this a good path for technology companies to take? And if not, what should they do? Julie.
Really quickly, can you explain what the path is? Like I heard all of that, but the path that you're talking about didn't click.
Giving Henrietta Lacks' family recognition and money for the fact that they're using her cell line.
I mean, yeah, I think that it was an injustice to literally take this woman's cells without asking her at all, and then use them for your purposes, and then make money off of them, and then not to offer up compensation for those whose are her descendants. Like, that's like somebody getting in a car crash, and then like the person who like caused the accident didn't give the didn't give the one who got like hit, they died, and doesn't give their family anything. Like, it's just kind of mean.
It's even beyond that. It's like if you hit somebody and they die, and then they come back to life and you hit them again and then die like 1,000 times, and you don't compensate them because amazingly they're able. So it happened at Johns Hopkins, and they didn't tell her. They discovered the unique, amazing properties of these cells, of these undying, eternal cells. And they recognized the value, the monetary value of it, and the scientific value. And they started proliferating those cells, copying them, cloning them, and selling them. And now, suddenly, many companies had them and started profiteering from these cells. You know, we might be alive today because of these cells, because a lot of the vaccines that made it possible for us to be alive today were created because of Henrietta Lacks and HeLa cells. But that's part of it. The other part is the companies that made the vaccines, billions, not millions, billions of dollars, and not just one or two or three companies, hundreds of companies. So this, I hope, is just the beginning. Her daughter sadly is dead. You know, there's some descendants. I hope they become multimillionaires, because this poor woman died excruciating death, horrible death. It was so sad reading about her ordeal. And then her family and she herself never profited from her incredible cells. Nobody knows why. Was it some kind of mutation? Was it some hidden property that we all have in our cells, but we don't know how to trigger it? But her cells just don't die, and they're incredibly valuable. So yeah, I think it's the right path, and every company that made billions of dollars from her cells should be held responsible and should compensate the family. Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yes.
I think the key part of the sentence that everybody seems to be missing is that Henrietta was a black woman, and this is 1951.
Oh, yeah.
Like, nobody gave a damn about her rights or her intellectual, like, nothing. So, do I think Henrietta deserves her reparations? I damn sure do.
Yeah, in 1950s, even most white people didn't have lawyers and didn't know how to stand for their rights, let alone African Americans who were subjected to blatant racism at the time. So she...
They didn't even care to ask her. I guarantee you
absolutely.
she did not register on their status as a person to even ask her permission.
Absolutely. Nobody asked her. Yeah.
So I want a very learned opinion, which means now I turn to Andrei.
Oh, Jesus.
I was just thinking that they were cells from her tumor, and she, if I had a tumor, I would be wanting them to get those cells out of me as soon as possible, so I wouldn't really care what they do with them.
I think that is literally like what the doctors just imagined that everybody thought at the time, so they didn't even bother to ask. Jules?
Thing is, right, if I had a tumor and they stole my tumor cells and then they like distributed them out to companies and then those companies made billions off of myself, I would be getting money for it because that's all for me. You couldn't have done it without my cells, so my money. But
reparations.
That's what I'm saying. And I think it's similar to if you go to a doctor, right, and they find some bacteria in you that cures cancer, and then they proceed to sell that to people for money and a lot without asking you, yo, do you want any of this? Can we take it from you? Then you would be angry. Be like, give me money because
You need to get royalties.
it's all from me. Yeah,
Get
like a
Adobe
singer, like a
system.
singer.
Yeah.
It's all coming from me, so
Hell yeah.
I take it.
Fernando, what are your thoughts?
Man, I'm like evil put everything, and I feel ignorant. Like I think first time I heard about this case was talking to you and evil, and it is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, like I mean, I want to see like deserve reparations. There was, and I mean, it's not like that's one case that caused like a lot of good and people make a lot of profit, but I mean, in general, like how many people suffer from research of medicine, like when medicine was experimental, like it could be from jails and stuff. You think like you're talking about the 50s, stuff went like over, like we're talking about even 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like they getting prisoners, like making whatever experimental medicine to just like crazy shit, like Nazi stuff. Like they were sterilizing
Prisoners?
people. There was the feeble-minded people. I mean, it's what's the name of the Kellogg guy? What was the what was the name?
sanitarian?
Not eulogy. Union.
Oh, eugenics? Is that what you're talking?
Eugenics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. But
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
a
I think evil put
huge-
everything, but it's a big picture. There is a big picture to be there, and
They were using prisoners to experiment.
and not just.
So in a way, they were also using their cells.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and that's the interesting thing. Like, there's this long history of like
Human cells.
abusing humans in the name of like advancing science. The interesting thing, though, is Henrietta Lacks has been consistently like just taken advantage of for the last 60 some odd years, and so her case is a little bit. It is the ultimate example of what we're talking about. Parker, what'd you think? Okay, question first. Had you ever heard of the term HeLa cell before tonight?
No.
Okay, so I'm asking that because it does show up in like all kinds of video games and TV shows, but I don't know that people actually even pay attention to it.
Yeah, I don't play
We
much
just want to
video
kill the
games.
zombies. Thanks, though.
Right.
Yeah, but zombie shows too. Like
Zombie shows
the
almost
HeLa cells,
universally.
The line of HeLa cells is always the culprit.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Is there a better path for the companies to take other than just giving her some money and saying thank you, or is that the right thing to do?
I'm assuming that the doctors that treated this case for her, like, are probably not alive, or they're too old to like have an opinion on it.
Yeah,
really.
they're long gone.
So and they've just been used by multiple, I guess, companies from now. So like it's not like it's like the companies that are using it now. It's not like it's their fault because they've just been reproduced and everything. But it's still nice that they are giving some recognition. I think recognition is deserved for the family.
Reparation.
Yeah.
Reparation. He's like, I didn't say reparations. I said recognition.
I think he said
Whatever sounds better.
Cassidy, have I gotten your opinion yet?
He's excellent.
What's the question?
Wow.
Like, like I've heard of
So,
I've heard of HeLa cells after like 5:30 p.m. today.
At TikTok?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you think that the companies should be giving Henrietta Lacks her recognition and maybe some compensation for the fact that they're using her cells?
Yeah, because like me personally, if I was in that situation, I'd also want money from that whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least them to get your permission to do it first.
Oh, yeah. That too, probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. That's my position. That this is the thing that the companies need to do. That family should not want for anything else in their entire life. Quite literally, like Evo alluded to earlier, like all modern medicine is based on Henrietta Lacks, and so the notion that her family has been destitute until recently is just kind of shocking. So I'm glad it's happening.
The cells that were harvested were cloned hundreds, thousands of times, stored and sold by several corporations, and they've made millions and millions of dollars. So, yeah.
I think that it's a good thing that we're using her cells because now we don't have to. Not now, because that means we don't have to use as many different like people or like test subjects that could die. But I don't think it's good that she's taken advantage of because didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Not the most upbeat way to end the podcast, but I want to thank everybody for showing up. So everybody today included Evo, Fernando, Meredith, Jullian, Cassidy, Parker,
Bye.
Andrei, Neil, and Donna. Thank you guys all for attending. You have listened
Yippee.
to another Wednesday Night Undress.
Woo.